I honestly think it's a myth. A lot of this so-called protective hairstyling are not really protecting your hair, period. It's not. It's actually causing more damage, more harm than good. But there's so many ways you can minimize it. Hi guys, how are you? This is Jummie speaking, and this is the creator of Glam Naturally Oil, and this is actually the first time ever I am doing a live, not really a live podcast, but it's a recorded podcast. So this session is being recorded because we're starting a brand new episode. So I've not really ever started an episode, so this is going to be the first one. And this episode we're actually going to be talking about, the topic is Let's Talk Hair. And it's going to be broken into different sections. And the first thing I'm going to be talking about, which is what I am very passionate about. A lot of you probably know me on Instagram, on Jummie or Glam Naturally Oil. I'm always talking about protective hairstyling and how is it really protecting our hair. So today's topic under the Let's Talk Hair episode is going to be protective hairstyles, period. Question: does it really protect your hair? So we're going to be talking about hair because I really want to help my customers achieve healthier hair growth. And another reason why I'm doing this like as a recorded content is because I want you guys to see my hair and my edges. Because if you've actually listened to my other podcast, I did speak about my hair loss story, my postpartum hair loss story, and what I've done so far to, you know, grow back my hair to health. And don't be fooled by this shrinkage. The more shrinkage you see, the healthier your hair is. My hair is 3 times or 4 times longer than this. But yeah, I love to keep it this, you know, low cut, short hairstyle, TWA kind of look. That's what I love. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about hair. I want my customers to achieve healthier hair growth. But before we do, I always talk about the word for today. And the word for today actually is not going to be from UCB like I normally do. It's something that my husband wrote on Instagram, and I think I actually shared this about either the 3rd or 4th podcast that I did. But I really wanted to do this in person so you can see me and repeat after me. But I hope this encourages you. And we're just going to start this off. And he wrote, it's imperative we understand the power of spoken words, right? The power of the tongue. Whatever you confess with your mouth, you might not mean it, you might probably say jokingly, but a lot of times whatever you say with your mouth comes to pass. So it's very important for you to choose your words very carefully and speak positivity over your life and whatever situation you might be going through. It says we are not only what we repeatedly do, we are what we affirm to ourselves. If you believe you can, you are right. And if you believe you can't, you are also right. So repeat after me today as you listen to my podcast. I don't know if you're home, if you're driving in your car, which is where I normally listen to most of my podcasts while driving, or if you're at the gym, if it's in the morning time, afternoon, evening, night, I don't care what time it is, but I want you to repeat after me and say this to yourself. I am smart. I am blessed. I will have a productive week. I have the energy to go beyond. I am creative. I am talented. I am forgiven. I am redeemed. I am triumphant. I am amazing. I am fearfully, beautifully, and wonderfully made. Repeat that after me one more time. I am smart. I am blessed and highly favored. I will have a productive week. I will exceed my goals. Amen. I have the energy to go beyond. I am creative. I am talented. I am forgiven. I am redeemed. I am triumphant. I am amazing. I am fearfully, beautifully, and wonderfully made. Say that to yourself. Claim it. Own it. Repeat it every single day if you can. Write it down. You know, what you see, sometimes your visual also, when you're seeing things, your spirit mind is also confessing those things. So write it down somewhere next to your dresser and confess this to yourself every single day. We are blessed and highly favored. Amen. So like I was saying, today we're going to be talking about protective hairstyling and if it's really protecting your hair or your edges. So I think I'm going to actually, because I broke it down into different sections, but I want to talk about myself first and then I'll break it down. So if you've listened to my postpartum hair loss story and how I big chopped my entire hair to start afresh last year August, and the reason why I actually did that is, you know, all my life, I mean, my mom has been so good with, she was so good with looking after my hair. But I remembered as a child, I used to look up to my mom because she used to perm, she used to texturize her hair. She used to perm her hair and it was straight and nice. And I used to just wish one day, I cannot wait to get my first perm. I cannot wait to get my first perm. So that was what I used to like look up to because my mom had permed hair. But my mom was so good, she didn't let me have perm until I think the age of 17, which was my 16th birthday. That was when she finally gave me a blessing that, Jummie, you can go ahead and perm your hair for your birthday. But the first 16 years of my life, I never had perm in my hair, never had any of that. So my mom was very, like, you know, strict with that for me and my sister. So, but I used to think that perming your hair was like the most amazing thing in the world, period. And I was always looking forward to it, like literally dreamt of it every single day of my life until I was 16. But one thing I realized, and then back then I was actually at the age of 16, I was in Nigeria when it happened, and we didn't have quality. I don't even know if there's anything called quality relaxer, because then I used to use what's it called, that, is it Dark and Lovely? Yeah, I think it was Dark and Lovely. That was not the first one I used. I used one very cheap one, and I realized that when I used that relaxer, it did a lot of damage because I had a lot of bumps, like a lot of sores in my hair, and my hair was not black anymore, it became brown. So it literally damaged my entire hair. It was horrible. So because of that reason, I decided to switch to Dark and Lovely, literally maybe a month after or 2 months after. And when I did use Dark and Lovely, I realized that my hair was coming out in chunks. Like the middle of my hair was coming out in chunks after it was relaxed. Maybe it was there for too long. Anyways, then I relocated to England, still continued perming my hair, and I had one of my very good friends back in England. Her name is Jummie, and she didn't like perm, so she was the first person that I saw in my generation that was actually rocking natural hair. And she would tell me, Jummie, this is the best decision of my life. You need to do it. I'm like, no way. I am the last. I don't have patience for my hair. I'm never going to relax. Go natural. That was what I used to tell her. And look at the irony. Anyways, so I remember when my first daughter was born, Nisi, 7 years ago. I told myself that, you know what? My mom didn't perm my hair for 16 years. I want to do the same for my daughter. I want her to wear her hair out naturally and be proud of her hair and just not have to do perm, because I hate the feeling of perm in my scalp. And also, when the doctor told me, oh, you have to not use chemicals on your hair, like you don't relax your hair. And I'm like, well, if they're telling me not to relax my hair, why, if it's not good for the baby growing inside of me, why am I still using this thing? And that was when it dawned on me, like, this is a bad idea, just having perm in your hair, period. So that motivated me. And then when she was born, I wanted to be able to care for her natural hair. So I cut off all my hair gradually. I actually didn't do a big chop. I transitioned, so I was cutting it gradually. And I decided that that's it, no more perm. 7 years ago was the last time that I had a perm. And I wanted to be able to care for Nisi's hair, which was what encouraged me to do that. So fast forward 2016, after Divine was born, 2017 was when I had my major hair loss. Literally, I woke up one day, I had my, I used to do my own hair. I do my daughter's hair as well. But I used to do my own hair. I didn't know how, I could do individual braids, but I didn't have patience for it. So I used to end up doing a lot of crocheting, which I did myself. But during that time, you know, even though I'm the one doing it, I used to end up like putting too much pressure on my edges without having, wasn't doing it on purpose, but it happened that way with crocheting. And then, you know, when you're sticking the crochet pin in, if you're not doing it right, you're actually breaking your hair in that process. Anyways, so I had crochet done when I went back to work on maternity leave. And literally, I kid you not, when I took out that hairstyle, I think it was 8 weeks after, because I didn't really care for my hair as much. I had a newborn, I had to juggle having a newborn baby, a child, to another child, getting used to having 2 kids now, and then working. So it was too much. So I didn't really, my self-care, my TLC on my hair was rubbish. It wasn't that great. I took out that hairstyle and I literally cried because all my edges, you see that I have edges now. I never had edges. Everything was gone. Literally gone. I literally cried. I'm like, gosh, Jummie, you have a business that's promoting hair growth and you have no hair? I was in tears. It really got to me. It really affected my confidence a little bit. But then I took that situation and I turned it into something good for myself. Because what I did was I'm like, you know what, Jummie? Then I had only like 7 oils in the hair oil bottle. I recreated the formula then. When I recreated the formula, I added 7 more essential oils and oils into it for it to work for me. So I started documenting every 2 weeks my growth. And honestly, I was seeing my hedges come back to life. And I'm like, okay girl, this is going good. I took it online and I was just promoting that. My first reviewer, my first customer was me. I literally did that. And but one thing I noticed was my hedges grew back, but because I was still not looking and taking care of my hair like I should, I had a lot of breakage. It was breaking so bad. My edges would grow and then break again, and then grow and then break again, which a lot of my customers I know for sure are going through the same thing. Like when someone reaches out to me and tell me, I've been using your hair oil for 2 weeks or 3 weeks and I see no difference. At the end of the day, everyone's hair grows at different pace, 1. But 2, if you're not making better decisions for your hair, if you're only using the hair oils, it's not really going to work. And that's why I've used myself as a guinea pig for all my customers. That look, I cut my hair to start fresh, but now I'm making better decisions for my hair. So let's go back. I know I digressed a little bit, but I had to get to that. I cut off all my hair, stopped protective hairstyling, doing TLC to the next level. TLC meaning I deep treat my hair, I deep condition, I protein treat regularly. I don't put any tension. As you can see, I have not done no protective hairstyling. It's going to be 1 year in August, and my hair has flourished tremendously. Breakage is literally minimal. It's probably at 1%. My breakage used to be 75%. Like my hair was just so scanty, and I had to do something about it. So this is going to be one of the longest podcasts that I've ever done, but I really want you guys to follow me and we'll get through this. So what is a protective hairstyle? So a protective hairstyle, you all know it is basically you have your own hair, but you're not wearing it out at that moment. You're doing something different. So you either have braid installed, or you have a weave done, or you have a clip-in, or you have crochet installed on your hair. That's a protective hairstyle. Whatever is taking your natural hair or your regular hair away so we cannot see your hair, it's meant to protect it. But I honestly think it's a myth. A lot of this so-called protective hairstyling are not really protecting your hair, period. It's not. It's actually causing more damage, more harm than good. But there's so many ways you can minimize it, because I know it's not everyone that has the patience to wear their hair out naturally 24/7, right? You want to do something different, or you feel bored, or now I want a different look. That's understandable. If you decided that, okay, now I want to do a protective hairstyle, what is your best to go protective hairstyle to do? Braids, honestly, braids is not a bad thing, but it becomes a bad thing when they take every single strand of your edges so tight, every single strand of your hair, that you can barely sleep for 1 week. I used to go through that. I'll go to the braiding in Harlem. They'll braid my hair, and literally for a week, I kid you not, I am not exaggerating. And that was actually one of the reasons why I created a braid oil. Because I realized that when I put the braid oil on my scalp, I used to have a lot of relief from that, tension. Gosh, I can't believe I actually put myself through that, honestly. But I used to have relief. That was what birthed the braid oils. But if you have a protective hairstyle that you cannot sleep for a week, or you have to take pain medications to sleep, then that's a bad protective hairstyle that would do a lot of damage to your hair. Honestly, I can't even explain it any better than that. If it's too tight, if you realize that within a week all your edges is gone, nah, don't do that. You could do braids. If you know the jumbo braids, where they slick down your edges all the way back, and then you have jumbo braids, those ones are better. Anything that doesn't cause damage tension to your edges and your hair is a better approach. If you have braids right now that's just been done and everything is hurting you, please start taking them out. It's not even advisable for you to keep that. But yeah, so braids like that are not good for you. But the other braids like weave, even cornrows, you could do cornrows, but I used to remember that now I used to tell them not to start the cornrow from my edges, to literally weave, like take my hair and weave it all the way and start the not to attach the extensions from my edges, to attach the extensions from maybe midway after it's been braided. That's probably a better approach, but not too tight as well, because once they start taking your entire edges with the extension, that's suicide. Your edges is gone. That's it. Bye edges. Goodbye. It's gone. Honestly, it is. So yeah, those kind of hairstyles are not protected. They are causing damage. Okay, so let's say you've done your jumbo braids. You've done a better protective hairstyle. How long should you keep it for before it starts breaking your hair? You have to remember, when you put all these braids on, you have it maybe for like a month or 2 months. You're not really scalp cleansing. You're not doing anything to your scalp. So your scalp is like, your hair and scalp is just there. It's building up all those dirt, the dust, the oils, everything is just building up. It's building up, it's building up, building up, all that nonsense. By the time you take it out, after, some people keep their hair extensions maybe for like a whole 2-3 months. That's bad. Don't do that. Don't do that. 4 weeks, maximum 6 weeks, take it out, because then up all the dirt, everything is beating up. So you want to make sure, so this is what, it's important for you not to keep it too long. So even if you're going to keep it maybe for like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and then during the time when you have your protective hairstyle, it's very important for you to also TLC your hair, take care of your hair. And how do you do this? By scalp cleansing. How do you scalp cleanse? When I had crochet, it was hard for me to scalp cleanse. The braid oil was my to-go product, so I normally just put it in a cotton bud and just scalp cleanse with it. But if you have braids on, I used to wash my scalp. I used to wash my braids while it's installed. It's important for you to do that. Scalp cleanse once in a while. Use oils. Massage the braid oil into it. It's formulated to help keep it cleansed as well during the time that you have it protected. And one more important thing for your edges. You see, I know a lot of people, when you have braids, you use edge controls, right? Or head gels, or whatever you use them to keep your to slick down your edges. Do you know, like, the building up of that can even break your edges even more? So it's important for you to cleanse your edges. So what I used to do, I would normally leave my edges out in the shower, and I'll just use water to cleanse and take off all that build up. It's important for you to do that. Actually, that one I recommend for you to do every single day. The scalp cleansing I recommend for you to do once every 2 weeks. But the edges has to be done every day. You have to cleanse your edges and remove the buildup from the day before to keep it, better, and to minimize the breakage you might suffer, during the time that you have your protective hairstyle installed. So I'm trying to go through my list. So what is the best hairstyle? What is the best protective hairstyle for less shedding and hair breakage? So I always recommend, if you have natural hair, the best to go is, like I said, you could do braids, jumbo braids that doesn't put any tension on your edges, or clip ins, they're good as well. Or you can even do crochet, but you have to be very careful for your edges. If you have tender edges, I have extremely tender edges, so I'm always very careful now. That's why I'm leaving it alone and doing nothing to it, and it's flourishing much better than it's ever done, period. And I think I went through how long should you have it for, 4 to 6 weeks. What hair care regimen should you keep while your protective hairstyle is installed? Scalp cleansing, oil massages, braid oil, and cleansing your edges as well. Okay, so one more thing before you install. So this is what should you do before you install your hair. your protective hairstyling, I always recommend, because remember 6 weeks, right, is the amount of time that the maximum time you're allowed, that I would recommend for you to have your protective hairstyling for. So 6 weeks your hair is just sitting in the braids. It's there nappy and dry. You're not doing much to it. It's not moisturized. So before you install it, I always recommend for you to actually do a deep treatment or protein treatment. My hair loves protein. I used to love protein. I still do. You know, you can do a protein. I'm going to talk about the deep and protein treatment, you know, in another episode, because I don't want to keep this episode too long. But yeah, but do that, you know, detangle your hair carefully after you take out your braids, so that you don't, you know, experience even more shedding. So I've done a video on how to detangle your hair, you know, on dry nappy hair. It's on YouTube under Jummie. You can search for it. I detangled my daughter's hair in that video, and I used the Glam Naturally or Cocoa Shade to do that. So you can, there's so many other things you can use to detangle your hair. Sometimes I use conditioner as well, but when I'm co-washing, I prefer using like the cocoa shade or the mango shade, because it retains moisture. So yeah, so far I've covered all the topics relating to protective hairstyling. Just be very careful when, I probably would not be protective hairstyling anytime soon, maybe in 2 years, but for now I'm enjoying my hair looking short and healthy. Yeah, I think that's it. I've covered it all for protective hairstyle. If you have any more questions about this, or if I've left anything out that you want to discuss about, you know, let me know. Drop a review, drop a comment, and I'll talk about it in my next episode. But that's basically it for protective hairstyle. And be very careful. You have the power to tell those hairstylists, because I think sometimes we're scared of them because they, you know, you feel like they know best, but sometimes honestly they don't know what's best for your hair. They don't know what's best for your edges. So you have to be, I used to remember telling those ladies that used to braid my hair that no, not too tight or this, and that's when I stopped going there, because sometimes they don't listen. But you have to like put your feet down. No, don't make it too tight. Leave my edges alone. It's my edges, leave it alone. You know, you have to be the one to have the final say. So yeah, that's basically it for today. I am so excited because I've recorded this episode. I had a little glitch while doing this, but hopefully it's not too obvious in the recording. But yeah, I'm going to be doing this again about I think the whole episode for Hair Talk, Let's Talk Hair, is going to be recorded. I think I'm going to do it that way. And I'm going to be posting some of it on my Jummie Grow page or on the Jummie Grow on YouTube. So when you go on YouTube, just type in Jummie Grow, you will see a lot of my hair care regimen that I do regularly. And you also see on my Instagram page, Jummie Grow. Also, if you want to send me an email, if you need more advice about this, you can send an email to jummiegrow@gmail.com or glammedwithgrace@gmail.com. I appreciate you so much for tuning in and listening to what I have to say. This is Jummie. I am glam naturally because I am glammed with grace. Have a super duper awesome day today. Bye!